The Midnight Suns are probably Marvel's most favorite mystical crime-fighting team. There have been a whole whack of members over the years, but with the new game out and thriving, I'm Adam Andrews with Top 10 Nerd, and let's talk about the top 10 most powerful members of the Midnight Suns. Have you guys been playing the Midnight Suns game? Or have you read any of the recent Midnight Suns stories? Let me know your own thoughts down below. But coming in at number 10 is Elsa Bloodstone. Elsa Bloodstone is the daughter of the once immortal monster hunter Ulysses Bloodstone. Ulysses trained Elsa from birth to inherit the family business. Using the word trained, though, is a bit of an understatement. As a rite of passage, Ulysses made Elsa face the Blight Beast when she was just a baby. He tried to remove her, quote, weakness by throwing her to a horde of great white sharks, and as her first monster kill, he made her face a clip-off and allowed her to get infected by its blood as punishment for taking too long. You know, it's all that lovely fatherly stuff that we all just love. But she did indeed jump in after her father's passing, taking up the tradition and becoming one of the best monster hunters in strength, stamina, speed, and durability, and an enhanced healing factor. But those are powers she, on a side note, is also toxic to vampires, and even if one did bite her, she's immune to the vampire curse. As you can imagine, her attributes plus her profession as one of the best monster hunters in the world made her a valuable asset when she was part of the Midnight Suns. In at number 9 is Iron Fist. Danny Rand spent years and years from the time he was a boy in an otherworldly city known as Kunlun. When he became master of their unique martial arts, the martial arts of the rest of the world, and he became incredibly capable with almost all martial arts weapons. Eventually, thanks to this, Danny even earned the title of Iron Fist, which granted him even more power like his signature ability, by focusing his chi into his buildings. Oh, also, it's worth noting that in order to even become the Iron Fist, Danny had to defeat an enormous fire-breathing mystical dragon called Shao Lao the Undying, which I can imagine most people haven't been able to do. He became a strong ally to the Heroes of Earth when he returned to America, famously being involved with Luke Cage and the Heroes for Hire. He is mostly known as a street-level hero, but due to the mystical nature of his chi power and his origins fighting dragons, he is actually very capable when coming on to face the mystical threats of the Midnight Suns. Number 8. Wong. Wong is from a family whose firstborn sons for 10 generations have all served the Ancient One. His father, Hamir the though Wong was born and was eventually sent to America to serve under Dr. Stephen Strange before he ever even became the Sorcerer Supreme in the Ancient One's place. So Wong and the two have assisted each other countless times, while originally not having any power to speak of to even be considered for the role of Sorcerer Supreme himself. On top of that though, Wong is also an expert in martial arts and can overpower most opponents, although he admits his proficiency with the arts has waned over his time as servant as he no longer practices it. Comic book Wong probably isn't a match for a lot of mystical and superpowered adversaries, but he can absolutely hold his own and has enough understanding and power to get him on the Midnight Suns. Number 7. Hellstrom. Daemon Hellstrom was born when the demon Marduk Kurios, who also goes by the name Satan, decided to have a child with a human woman as a way of Hellstrom decided to turn his back on his father and vowed to fight against him, even eventually slaying Hell and son of this demon. Hellstrom has a Cambion physiology and wields crazy magical abilities, as well as commanding vast power in the Hell dimension, potentially meaning he can perform any magical feat while he is there. That Cambion physiology I mentioned gives Hellstrom super strength and durability, and due to his dark soul, he has shapeshifting and teleportation abilities as well as magical awareness. Hellstrom has also wielded a trident made of netheranium, which is a quote psychosensitive metal found only in his extra-dimensional Hell realm. While also being a pointy trident, the weapon is also a medium through which magical energies can be amplified and projected, which helps boost his power even more. All this magical ability and the connection to the world of demons made him an excellent occult expert and made him a perfect fit for the Midnight Suns as well. And number 6, Man-Thing. Ted Sallis was an AIM scientist first assigned to a project called Project Sulfur, in which he created a serum that made people immune to all toxic biochemicals, but it also, unfortunately, turned them into monsters. This serum was called SO2. However, Sallis had to flee from his employer who wanted SO2 for their own nefarious purposes. While he's on the run, he injects himself with the serum, but after crashing in a certain swamp and passing away, he is transformed into a swamp creature through a combination of his formula and magical forces that existed in the area. Now, as Man-Thing, Ted is practically invincible. He can be destroyed, but as long as there is vegetation on Earth, he can grow back his body. Depending on the situation, his super strength is possibly limitless. He has fought against the Hulk, the Thing, and the entire Marvel Champions team. Man-Thing has also had the ability to teleport around the Earth using Nexus points. He can breathe underwater and can't really be held captive, as if you locked him behind bars or something like that, he can just ooze through the bars. The last and most important of his abilities though would be detecting emotions. Positive emotions make him feel calm and reserved, but negative ones make him go ballistic, secreting an ooze that can burn through almost anything. Man-Thing is also capable of harnessing the Nexus of all realities. During Fear itself, Man-Thing's power increased, releasing him from his bond to the Nexus of all realities and allowed him to teleport wherever he wished at will. And he was even able to manipulate reality. He's just a really cool, underutilized character, probably due to the fact Colossus, Illyana Rasputina, is exceedingly more powerful, being both a mutant and a talented sorcerer. Illyana, or Magik, was stolen at the age of 6 and taken to the Limbo Dimension by a sorcerer named Belasco, who turned part of her soul into a bloodstone and eventually became her mentor, training her in the ways of dark magic. Fortunately though, she was trapped in the Limbo Dimension. Eventually, Illyana used her Soul Sword, which is a super dope magical sword that can defeat magical beings, to overthrow Belasco, becoming ruler of Limbo. Now, using her mutant abilities to create teleportation discs, she escaped Limbo, arriving back on Earth at the age of 13. She is one of the most powerful mutants and sorcerers in the Marvel Universe. She's aided, been trained by, and also defeated Doctor Strange, and has even defeated Dormammu. She kicked some serious butt. As a sorcerer, her powers are a little hard to define, but she knows and utilizes summoning, binding, scrying, exorcism, protection, and shield spells. She can manipulate energy and has a magical eldritch armor. She has psionic shields, and through her mutant abilities she can teleport through time and the multiverse. She is the Sorcerer Supreme of Limbo, and she has been an avatar for the Phoenix Force. Magik is just an absolute badass, and her skills are a fantastic fit for the Midnight Suns. She's almost overqualified. Number 4. Ghost Rider. Thanks to a family curse and a deal made with the demon Mephisto to save his surrogate father, which did not save him at all, Johnny Blaze was given the power of the Spirit of Vengeance that inhabits his body, turning him into the Ghost Rider. While the Ghost Rider is in control, Johnny Blaze gains almost godly abilities. Doctor Strange has stated that when the demon Zarathos takes possession of the Ghost Rider's powers are, for most intents, superhuman stamina, superhuman immunity to basically all earthly physical damage, superhuman agility, and regenerative healing that are all basically limitless. He also possesses supernatural awareness, hellfire manipulation including infusion, projection, and constructs, sin and soul manipulation, dimensional travel, demon magic, mystical fiery chain projection, size alteration, and his key ability, the penance stare, causing any individual who stares into his eyes to see and feel every bit of pain they have ever inflicted on anyone in their entire lifetime for all eternity. Although that infamously doesn't always work. Not only was Johnny Blaze a member of the Midnight Suns, but even his brother, Danny Ketch, who possessed similar powers, was as well at one point. But there was another Ghost Rider-like character who I want to talk about. Number 3. Demon Rider. Kushala was an Apache woman from back in the mid-1800s who is someone I feel like I should have heard of before today, but alas, you learn something new every day. Kushala's parents lost their lives when her tribe was attacked by the US Army, and in her rage, she prayed to her gods. This inadvertently got her possessed by a spirit of vengeance, and she absolutely got her vengeance, burning everyone until only their spirits remained. Now, with the amazing powers of the Spirit of Vengeance, riding her Hellfire horse and calling herself Demon Rider, Kushala traveled all over the world studying different forms of magic to get an answer for what exactly this curse she had obtained actually was. She not only learned that and gained control over the spirit, but she even became so skilled with the mystic arts that she became the Sorcerer Supreme of her time. Eventually, Kushala was recruited by Merlin to a team of Sorcerer Supremes from across time to fight the Forgotten in the modern era, but they were betrayed by Sir Isaac Newton, who it turns out also a Sorcerer Supreme. Who'd have thought? Not me. Anyways, she got stuck in the modern era, which eventually led to her becoming a part of the Midnight Suns, and I think she is just so cool. Number 2. Dr. Voodoo. Jericho Drumm, 1, has a really cool name, but 2, is the master practitioner of voodoo white magic according to the Book of Vishanti, and he has been stated as one of the most powerful mystic practitioners on the planet, which is why it makes sense that he was the one to become the new Sorcerer Supreme for a while in Doctor Strange's place, after the Eye of Agamotto deemed that Jericho possessed a pure heart and a clean soul. His main magical ability allows him to interact with spirits for a number of different effects. He can summon skeletons, the spirits of the dead, and can manipulate zombies with his necromancy. He can removed Frank Castle's mouth one time, which honestly, I wish more people would do. That guy needs to chill. Anyways, Dr. Voodoo also has a degree of pyrokinesis, can control voodoo, smoke, mist, and can manipulate and control people's souls, and that is all on top of his normal mystical. Dr. Stephen Strange's magical feats are almost unmatched by anyone else. He is among the most adept magic users in the multiverse and has shown it many times. In fact, when he first came on the scene, and for a long while, he was capable of doing pretty much anything he wanted to with any spell. It got to the point that Marvel Comics even decided to depower him so that he could have more compelling stories. As for some of his feats, even after being deeches, his energy blasts are capable of destroying moons and planets. He has mastered the words of the Black Priests, allowing him to distort reality at one point. He frequently calls on the divine empowerment and extra-dimensional energy of mystical and non-mystical beings across multiple dimensions